run through this quick?
Sure, if you don't mind, Gail.
A pleasure. Okay, my name's Gail Powley. I'm part of the Rainforest team here in Edmonton and also part of Technology Alberta, a border-wide organization focused on helping build this great tech sector. So etiquette, many people here are seasoned rainforesters, so to speak. So I think you all know that if you can raise your hand or use the chat for any comments, and it's wonderful to see a very animated chat discussion. Please stay muted until it's your turn to speak. We have many voices, and chat and resources will be captured and posted. And I believe this session is being recorded. So if anyone has a concern with being recorded, please, I think you're going to have to sign off the call. So I just want you to all know, rainforest is an analogy. Rainforests are unlike farms where all the factors are in farms, everything's understood. In the rainforest, all the elements were there. They weren't planted, but they created this thriving ecosystem, which is what we're trying to do here in Alberta by pulling together innovators through investors, inventors, entrepreneurs, and everyone who supports them. We can create this thriving community here. So wild, untamed spaces where new ideas can sprout and thrive. Next slide, please. And doers connected by a common goal of making Alberta fertile ground for building, developing, and growing innovative ideas into sustainable ventures. Mission, connect the innovation ecosystem by strengthening the movement behind the Alberta tech industry around a framework of shared values of collaboration, community, and trust through storytelling. Excellent. All right, social contract. In fact, do you want to talk to that, Bridget? Because I know you are the collector of the social contracts.
Sure. Yeah. So we have the social contract, these values or tenets that we encourage us all to live by in the innovation ecosystem. So they were developed at the first Rainforest Summit, and we encourage people to sign as individuals. As we know, you will move around the ecosystem away from different company emails. It's a code of conduct that we use to operate in the day-to-day. It's a good contract to maybe pin next to your desk and check in with in your daily work when you're, doing anything, working as a team or negotiating, you name it. And so each person brings their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to these values, but really embodying them as a whole is what we aim to do.
Excellent. 6 pillars on building an ecosystem focused on culture, leaders, resources, engaged activities, policy and infrastructure, and role models. Great to see many examples being brought forward today as every week at the Rainforest. And with that, I don't know if our other speakers have come yet, Bridget. If not, I have a few words to say about the connector that we ran. That could be a benefit for all. And thank you for the kind words on the session yesterday in the chat. I will say that we brought forward MyTax, which many of you may know of that organization, who works collaboratively across the province and the country with all academic institutions, bringing young talent to companies. There are different programs. In the past, they had largely had an interest in there being a research component to any of their funding. But in recent years, especially due to COVID, now there's a business focused one where it's really about growing companies. And so even though the administration is run through the universities, of which they will connect you to a university of your choice or one that makes sense based on what you're doing, it really is to provide half of the funding, $5,000 for this federal funding, and $5,000 is what you would provide for your company to support some young talent to help do some of the work that you need done for your organizations. So please do look at MyTax. Their information is easily available, and they are here to help. And they say that if they can't help you, they will connect you with someone who can. So Bridget, do we have speakers here?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing, Gail. Okay, so we will get right into things. We have an awesome panel here today. We have a couple participants from our Libby program from last year to share where their startup ideas are at. And then we have a few other people, I think, from the community here with some resources for anyone looking to pivot into the tech sector. That is I think why we have such a large crowd today. I'm assuming a lot of newcomers. If you're new, if you could use the reaction tab to just do one of these or whatever, just to get an idea of how many newcomers we have. We hope from the intro you get a sense of what Rainforest Alberta is. It is a little obscure, so if you have more questions, feel free to connect with one of us from the Rainforest team afterwards, myself, or we can, if the rest of you are here, if you could just throw your names in the chat so people can identify you, that would be great. So today's panel is all about career pivots into technology. This idea came from attending a lot of the events last fall, Innovation Week, and there was different workshops happening and pitch nights and all these exciting things. And there were all these newcomers from different industries, maybe people from tourism or oil and gas who were laid off and curious about how do we get into this tech sector, or maybe they already have jobs. I know we have Michael here today, who I chatted with, who's really curious about how do you get in. There is a lot of job postings that say, you know, you require X number of hours in SaaS or tech or whatever, and yet they have a lot of transferable skills. So that's what we're going to explore today, and it's going to be really fun and exciting. We have a panel of four people from Neo and Athenian, which are two very hot startups in Calgary right now. And their names all start with K, so that's fun. They should all be pinned on your screen as I've made them co-hosts. If not, I might be missing Kenny. I'll pin you after I'm done introducing you all, because I'm having a hard time multitasking. Okay, so I'm going to give a quick intro of you all, and then we have some questions we're going to ask the panel, but I really encourage everybody to throw their questions in the chat, because it's your questions that really matter most. If there's things you want answered, get in that chat or raise your hand and we'll try to address them. So first from Athenian, we have Kristen. Kristen, you are here now, I believe.
Yes, hi.
Kristen studied, you're there, awesome, thanks for coming. Kristen studied library and information sciences because it combined her passion for tech, people, and organizing information. She has a consulting background advising companies across Canada on digital transformation strategies and cloud software adoption. Kristen joined Athenian in 2019 to build the delivery team to provide users with a streamlined and supportive onboarding experience. Kristen loves cats, junk food, and reading fiction. That sounds fun. Next, we have Kenny. Kenny, you here?
Yes, I'm here.
You are here. Kenny, also with Athenian, was pushing paper for big insurance companies before creating a services and consulting company for paralegals called Minute. As the principal of Minute, Kenny was providing implementation consulting for Athenian, and then he joined the Athenian team full-time as a product manager for document automation in 2019. Kenny eats the same lunch every day and unconditionally loves his two dogs, Daisy and Maple. And when I read that, I just had to know, Kenny, what do you eat every day?
It's a special recipe, turkey meatballs and raw carrots.
Wow, super healthy. Yeah. Okay.
And King can vouch for that.
Oh, that's awesome. Doesn't get boring though, I'm assuming. Kat, next we have Kat. Kat is from Neo. You may have seen Kat quite active on LinkedIn, really promoting career pivots and assisting a lot of folks in doing so. She has always considered herself to be an arts person. She graduated from a liberal arts college, and so did, sorry, who else graduated with you, Kat?
Kristen also did. We
Yeah,
were in the same class.
Just so happens that Kat and Kristen went to the same college with 150 people in their graduating class, and here they both ran into each other today. Gotta love rainforest collisions. So Kat graduated from the liberal arts college and she went to work in provincial politics after her master's degree. It was at that time that she started to think more about tech and how her everyday work tasks could easily be automated. After a few months of attempting to teach herself code, in 2018, Kat took a coding boot camp through Lighthouse Labs. I know some of you here have worked with or been a part of Lighthouse Labs, so if you want to throw your names in the chat, that would be great too, to give people some context of what they do. She later went on to work as a career advisor and community manager with Lighthouse. Through that role, she became more involved in the tech community and stumbled on a very early stage Neo Financial, where she now works as a software developer. Neo's had some exciting announcements this week too that we can maybe touch on in our chat. And then lastly, we have Kelly with Neo, who is here. Kelly's job titles have included Canadian National Alpine Skier, academic, marketer, entrepreneur, coach, sales, partnerships, and recruiter. She's always opted for challenge and growth over the status quo and has forged an unconventional career path because of it. As an athlete, she was surrounded by a team of high-performing individuals working together to accomplish big, scary things. After she retired, she felt a void and tried coaching, starting a business, and going back to school. She realized that she was searching for her next Olympic-sized goal, and joining Neo in disrupting the most institutionalized industry in Canada seemed just about right for that Olympic-sized goal. So we are really excited to have you all here with us today and to hear more about your career pivots. So I am going to just maybe just start first with Kelly. I'm going to have each of you in a kind of 1 to 2 minute pitch. Just tell us a bit about your career pivot and what brought you from where you were to where you are now.
All right, well, thank you. It's nice to see everyone. I see some familiar faces. Kind of wish that we were in person, but this will just have to do. So thank you very much, Bridget, for that little bit of an intro. My background, I have such a random background of many different areas. I really like to say that my career has taken as many turns as my ski career. So I went from alpine racing, so I ski raced for over 20 years. I was a member of the Canadian ski team. I got super injured, ended up having to pivot my career for the first time and went and landed myself a scholarship in the States. So I went and raced NCAA and finished off my career and got a degree in marketing at Montana State University. From there, I actually came up with this super crazy idea to sell toilet plungers. And as I graduated, I came home and said, well, what better way to learn sales and marketing than to start a plunger company? So I did that. I sold toilet plungers for 3 years while I was coaching at an elite level here in Alberta. That was really my entrance into entrepreneurship, and I was hooked. I absolutely loved it. No, I didn't sell plungers forever. That was never the goal. The goal was to learn how to build a business. And I have then leveraged that into landing myself in a master's degree at Queen's University. That's how I got into tech. I was in my master's in innovation and entrepreneurship, fabulous program, learning how to build, scale, find opportunities in the market, as well as create value in the market. I did that while I was running the League of Innovators. So I was the market manager for League of Innovators in the past couple of years. And then I got recruited into Neo, same stage as Kat. So Kat and I were started off ground floor. I was entered the team as the second partnerships hire. And we went and we pounded the pavement, talked to 2,000 business owners here in Calgary before scaling across the country. And now we're launched nationally. We have a full working product. And as you probably saw in the news yesterday, some really exciting announcements where we did sign Hudson's Bay and we're taking over their MasterCard. So we're very, very excited as Neo. And yes, I'll hand it off to the next person.
Yeah, we'll go over to Kat then. Good segue.
Cool. Yeah, my name's Kat. Yeah, similar to Kirsten, I guess I start and end with 2 different people on this panel. So Kirsten and I both went to a liberal arts school that pretty much only taught philosophy. I actually graduated in environmental studies with a focus on sustainability, which was pretty neat. And I was, super big into activism and that kind of stuff. In university, I worked a couple of years in career advisement for my university, and then ended up doing a master's in public policy because I was just really interested in sort of making positive change and helping people and being involved from sort of that perspective, which led to me working for the provincial government in Ontario. And I was there for a couple of years. I didn't quite have the stomach for provincial politics. But what I did started thinking about at that time was just like how a lot of the day-to-day stuff that I did would very easily, as Bridget said in my intro, like very easily automated. And so I just kind of started thinking about that. I started talking to my friends in tech. Initially, I actually started to apply for sort of HR positions at tech companies in Toronto. And then I ultimately decided once I got laid off to just take my severance, put it all into a boot camp and see where that got me. I ended up moving back to Calgary because I did my master's at U of C and just loved it and wanted to come back to the mountains. And then when I took the boot camp, Al Del Vegan, which I'm sure a lot of you know, recruited me to just start coming to rainforest and a bunch of other meetups. And I just got really involved in the tech community from there. Attended like every single meetup for quite a while, which is where I actually met the CTO of Neo Financial and employee number one, who's the head of engineering. And after, some back and forth over a couple of months, they ultimately convinced me to join the team, which was, I guess, September 2019. Yeah, which is crazy. So I've been there working as a software engineer since then. And yeah, Kelly gave you all the more recent updates, but it's been a pretty wild ride.
Yeah, thanks for that, Kat. A lot of people, I know yourself and Zachary Novak, who's on LinkedIn. He's another advocate for career pivoters in Calgary. And they always talk about connections and that being kind of an entry point in. And we do that every week here for those of you who are new. We're here every Wednesday from 12 to 1, and it's a great place to meet all walks of life in the ecosystem. Okay, we'll head over to Kristen.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, so from the liberal arts background, I studied history, and then I did my master's in library and information studies because I was always really interested in literacy and community programming, really serving my community. From library school, I was really impressed with how big of a tech component there was there. Libraries are not often thought of as the forefront of technology, but they really relate to how humans access information and data and content. And from there, I landed a consulting job working with a company called Tab. And so they invented the colored stickers on the edge of file folders. So again, not what you would think of with tech, but I worked for them helping companies transition from paper records into digital and how we can use information more in a digital space. With that, I was honestly shocked, a whole world I didn't understand, with warehouses of files that just contained so much critical information to businesses that was not being accessed and used. So from there, I worked with a lot of different companies across Canada and was really surprised by the disconnect with how I use technology in my personal life and how it was being used in the corporate world. It was night and day, like fax machines that were still running when I had been using Google Docs for all of university with shared collaboration and access. So from there, I worked with Adrian at Athenian and joined the team as the delivery success manager in 2019 to help drive adoption and to really help law firms specifically really embrace cloud-based technology and move to a more digital work environment.
Awesome, cool story. Thanks, Kristen. Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, my professional life started working in insurance. So also similar to law firms in the sense that, very kind of old, antiquated industries that you think of when you're thinking about, what type of the work environment is. Yeah, and I just kind of felt kind of stuck in my job, almost similar to what Kirsten was saying, just the tech tools that were available just didn't enable me to get my job done. I constantly felt frustrated at how slow and inefficient it was to execute work. And so that kind of just made me feel stuck and wanting to solve the problem. And so I'm sure a lot of people on the call know someone named Josh Malate. He's heavily involved in the tech community in Calgary. He also works at Athenian. And so I met him actually in the MBA program at U of C, and he kind of said to me, you can come work with us. You can make a third of the money and work 3 times as hard. And I said, yes, that sounds great because I'll actually enjoy what I'm doing. Those numbers are made up. It's not actually true, but yeah, again, to your point on connections, just kind of who you know can kind of help enable your transition or pivot into another career path. So we kind of starting a professional services company that would offer kind of fractional paralegal services that utilize technology. And just over time, I just kind of found a full role at Athenian kind of at the end of 2019. So yeah, now I'm focused purely on managing the document automation team.
Awesome. Thanks, Kenny. I think we'll use that to head into the question around startup culture. And at Rainforest, we always talk about that heaviest weighted pillar of culture. Something Josh Malate actually once said to me was about the shift in coming from a different industry's culture. You talk about insurance, legal, ski racing, whatever it might be. what was the most surprising thing for each of you when it comes to startup culture? What was the thing that maybe was the hardest to adapt to, or the most exciting aspect to adapt to? So maybe we'll go backwards and start with Kenny.
I have a bit of a different answer for that one. The most surprising thing to me was how many grown-ups play video games and watch anime. There's an enormous amount of high percentage of people on our team that engage on those activities weekly, and it was a big surprise to me from the environment where I was currently coming from.
At work, they're doing
this? Well, work-life balance is a whole different conversation, but but not necessarily during work hours.
Oh, that's awesome. Kirsten, what was the most shocking culture shift for you?
When I was consulting for records management, we were often working for very big companies, like 5,000 plus employees. And coming out of university, you see a lot of people who have been in the same job for 30 years and maybe have lost a little bit of that passion or spark for their work. And it's what you hear about typical office work. And I just kind of accepted it. That's what work life is. And then working for a startup, it's so inspiring to be around people who are so passionate and so driven, and you can actually really love your work and get a lot of joy and fulfillment from it.
Awesome. Kat?
Sorry, we'll slow to unmute. Yeah, honestly, like same answer as Kirsten. Coming from office jobs, with government or with like a university, I found a lot of people were just very checked out and kind of just 9 to 5. And I was always kind of the, one of the sole people who would, stay up till midnight working on something to get it done and really driven. And so being in an environment, especially, like a fast paced, crazy growing thing like Neo, it's just really refreshing and really inspiring to be on a team where everybody is dependable and everybody is excited. And even just meeting people from other startups, it's just like, it's so like energizing to just see how much everybody really believes in what they're building.
Yeah, that's so true. All right, Kelly.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of hit on a lot of points of, when you're in a role and you're doing the same thing day in, day out, it can get a little taxing. And if you're the type of person who has ideas and has energy, it doesn't always mesh with a corporate structure. Myself, that's where I go to die, is in a corporation. For me, I have ideas and I'm excited about so many different things. And an athletic background really taught me how to work hard. And I think anyone who has ever competed in anything or has been an athlete or has really worked hard at something understands that feeling of accomplishment. And when you switch into a role in tech, these companies are fast moving and you get out what you put in. And if you have no ceiling on top of you, it's amazing what you can accomplish. So for me, stepping in, it wasn't a culture shift at all. It was more finding my kind of people who are very like-minded, who are willing to work hard and just pull up their socks and get the work done. It doesn't matter whose job it is to do the work. We're all in this together and you're a team. And that's what I really missed when I left athletics, was finding that team. And also when I ran my own business, I did it all myself. I had no idea that there was anything like rainforest, that there was anything like a tech ecosystem. I literally was Googling how to start a business on my own in my parents' basement. That's how I started it. And these resources are so incredible. I think anyone who's thinking of starting a business, anyone who's thinking about getting into tech, get involved. I'd say that is the best thing you can ever do, because this is where you're going to learn. And when you talk about culture, you're surrounding yourself by like-minded individuals, and that's incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, so great. I just love how you guys are touching on all corners of the social contract and the rainforest pillars. I think that's what I find really interesting too, is that different from traditional business, the startup culture is really team oriented. So you don't have to be in it alone. And For those of you who are interested in building those types of teams, connect in the chat and whatnot. And we have other events, all sorts of events. Check out Startup Calgary's calendar for events happening in the ecosystem where you can meet people and have these conversations. We'll be hosting Power Hour at the end of the month, we decided this morning. So that's a great way to chat with team members. This next question, I was going to ask anyway, but also has come to me in the chat. And if the audience wants to start throwing other questions in the chat, because this will be the last of the formal questions, and it's just, what advice would you give to folks either starting out their career in tech or who are looking to pivot into tech? What advice would you give them? And we'll go backwards again, starting with Kelly.
So my advice is to get involved. A big part of being in tech is definitely obviously getting your foot in the door, but also getting to know people. And it's really easy to come into an ecosystem and just ask. Like, I need help with this, I need help with this, I need help with this. There's also an element of giving where you need to give back to the community as well. So if you have skills and you can share knowledge with people, I'd say that is probably the most influential way for you to get your foot in the door. Volunteer, give your time, and give back to the community, because that ultimately boomerangs and comes back to yourself when you need help as well. So my biggest advice, get involved and give back to the community. Volunteer your time, because that will take you further than you can ever imagine.
Kelly, do you have any really specific ways people can do that? I mean, other than through Rainforest, we're looking for volunteers all the time. But I'm intimidated by the ecosystem sector. Are there ways you could specifically recommend?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm actually going to pass it off to Kat. So Kat wrote a fabulous article. If you guys haven't seen it, it needs to get posted somewhere, on ways to get involved in the tech industry in Calgary. There are meetups everywhere, and it's very uncomfortable. When I first started in the tech industry, I was terrified of coming to Rainforest my first time. Completely, totally. Like, that is probably one of the hardest parts, but part of the great thing of being involved in a tech ecosystem is we've all been there. If you're going to pick up the phone and call someone, we have all been there. I know how hard it is to pick up the phone and talk to someone. It is terrifying, but that's the first step. So I would say show up to meetups. If you can, go to like Pixels and Pints, or you can go to Rainforest, or you can go to any of the Startup Calgary and platform meetups and anything like that. Obviously, they're all remote right now, but just getting involved, getting your name out there, providing value, and talking to people. It's one of the best skills you'll ever acquire. Be comfortable being uncomfortable and get out of your comfort zone and talk to people, because we've all been there and everyone's here to help as well.
That's awesome. Thanks, Kelly. Kat, I'll throw your blog in right now. I've got it queued up.
Cool. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, my biggest point is the exact same as what Kelly said, is just participate. But I'm gonna take a little bit more of a hands-on, because I know there's a lot of boot camp grads out there now. I've seen a couple people pop up in the chat mentioning that they're recent grads looking. So for those people who are trying to start their tech careers, specifically as a developer and don't have any work experience as a developer, I'd say the best thing to do, apart from networking, because I still think that's super important, is keep coding and keep learning. Employers are going to be looking at your resume. They're going to be looking at what you're doing. And it doesn't matter if you're only building in one language, so long as you're doing new and interesting things, you're learning different aspects, or maybe you do want to take the stream where you do learn new things, take a Python tutorial. They're free Udemy courses, they're free courses everywhere. And so if you're really looking to go from bootcamp grad to your first job as a junior, which is a super tough mountain to climb. I've been there. I've talked with a lot of students when I worked as career services for Lighthouse about it. But the number one thing you got to do is you got to keep your GitHub growing, and you just have to show that you didn't just do an easy out. You didn't take a course and then do nothing. You took a course because it was something you're passionate about, and then you demonstrate your passion by continuing to grow this thing that you've already invested so much time and effort into. Oh, Bridget, you're muted.
I've done it. I know Zachary often talks about like more, kind of, I don't want to say fluffy things, but really identifying your why. He always refers to the Simon Sinek video of really being able to articulate that, because I think it does play a really key role in finding that sweet spot for yourself in the sector. Okay, Kristen, your turn.
I think I have to agree with everything that's been said already. Part of my pivot was through Product Calgary, another great group, because I was looking for jobs in tech that weren't related to being a developer. And I think that's another good piece of advice, is be open to all of the different types of roles available at tech startups. I don't have a coding background, but there's so much you can learn and contribute to these types of companies if you're curious, if you're willing to work hard, and really being able to explain your transferable skills, because startups need so many different types of people who can wear all different types of hats. And being able to describe what that might be that you can offer is really important.
Awesome. Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Chris, I mean, I joined a tech company, never having to work at a tech company. And on top of that, it's a legal tech company, and I'd never worked in a law firm before. So there's a lot of the stuff you can learn. It just takes a lot of work. And so yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is to just obviously try to get your foot in the door some way, and that was a lot to do with who you know and how you build your network, but also what makes you stand out, right? So everything you can do that just shows that you have the ability to work hard, the ability to learn fast, and the ability to solve complex problems in a creative way. The more that you can demonstrate those, I mean, those are core transferable skills, so that you can learn a lot of this stuff before you get to jump in.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kenny. A lot of founders have mentioned to me that the adaptability and ability to learn is the thing they're looking for. So if you can articulate that in a cover letter, that's Ryerson just did a study recently with Deloitte that ability the number one skill in the future of work, and a lot of micro training out there that you can take real quick snippets and be able to keep up to speed. SATE has a lot of that programming, learned about a few weeks ago too. We had a question from Jen at EvolveU. Hopefully you don't mind me pointing out that it was you, Jen. It was about if you guys could speak to imposter syndrome and how to navigate that while learning and constantly learning, and while working in the industry. That's a lot to bear. So Kenny, you're smiling. Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's one of these, to Kelly's point earlier, it's everyone kind of goes through it. It was funny when Kelly said, "Oh, I remember I was like nervous when I went to my first rainforest," and I was like, I kind of thought back to my first time, and I was like, yeah, that was actually quite terrifying. Having to go and talk to people you've never seen before, but I don't know if it's easier virtually than it is in person, but yeah, definitely, it's not going to go away, and that anxious feeling that you get of, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, and I'm not really sure how this is going to work out. You just have to keep going, and you just have to because that feeling's never going to go away, and you have to keep putting yourself in those types of positions in order for you to grow and to learn. There's in a lot of cases no other way to do it. You're not going to be fully prepared for anything, so you're going to have to learn a lot of it along the way.
Yeah, I will. I'll just leave it open to any of the rest of you. Who else wants to comment on that?
This is, I think, one of my favorite topics to talk about, just because it's something that I struggled with like so incredibly much in my transition. Academia was never, was always came fairly easy to me. Like university just made a lot of sense. And then when I started taking boot camp, I had such bad imposter syndrome that I actually dropped out the first time I tried. And then I got encouraged by the education team to start again and try again and reapply myself. And the whole time I went through the program, I just kept saying like, oh, they're going to kick me out. I'm so bad at this. Like, I don't know why I'm still in this program. And then somehow I graduated the program. But I ended up actually working for Lighthouse doing career advisement because my imposter syndrome was so bad that I didn't think any company would actually want me as a developer. And so I spent 9 months with Lighthouse not writing a single line of code because I was convinced that I just wasn't good enough to do it. I'm so grateful that Neo just like saw my potential, and Chris Reed and Ian Sutherland, who headed that team at that point, just like saw my potential and just gave me a chance, despite the fact that I hadn't actually written code outside of boot camp. And then I used to say that the boot camp was like the hardest thing I'd ever done. The first 3 months working as a junior that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And same thing, I joked that whole time saying like, oh, they're probably going to fire me, I'm not good enough. And so it took a lot, like a huge mindset change for me to be able to overcome that. And this sounds so cheesy, but I like every day before I walked in the office when I started at Neo, I would pep talk myself right before I opened the door. I would say, I'm smart, I'm capable, and most importantly, every issue can be solved if you break it down to the smallest component. And I mentor with Lighthouse still, and I tell that to students starting off who seem to be stressed out. And so just remind yourself, whether it's coding or life or anything, if you have a problem, you can break it down, you can solve smaller components. And then, at the end of the day, you can look at all the things you've accomplished, and it helps so much, and it makes you feel better. And then you're able to grow from that. I wrote another blog post on this for Lighthouse too.
Okay, we'll find it and share it, Kat. That's so awesome. You reminded me of Mike Myers from SNL used to have this skit about I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Good chant before you head into any scary situation. Let's do something scary, or maybe not so scary for some, a little less scary, I think, in the virtual world, which we can be thankful for. And we'll go into some breakout rooms, and everybody can have the chance to be a little scared and also get to know each other and communicate and collide and all those fun things. So we only have 20 minutes left. We have a few people who are going to present on Archie, are you here? Archie's not here.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Woomni, are you? Okay, so when we come back from the breakout, we'll have the two of you do a quick report back on your Libby projects. One of them, I'm not sure yours, Archie, but Woomni's really relates to what we're talking about today. I also want to point out in the breakout rooms, there'll be Colton from Startup Calgary. So even if, and of course there's Startup Edmonton too, sorry guys, just so Calgary laser focused here. They have the Startup 101 courses. So even if like you're not looking to start a company, although don't discount it as an option, you can go there and just learn what is the startup world all about. What do these companies look like? How do they get started? And then we also, is Mike still here from Platform?
Yes.
Mike, do you want to share the website you've created?
Yeah, for sure. So we just recently launched Hello Tech, which is a simple job listing site for startups and scale-ups across Alberta. So if you are looking to get a little bit more involved within the tech space, we're adding jobs to that all the time. And currently we have about 200. And so these are roles that like Adabotics, Neo Financial, Athenian, Cement, but also smaller startups. So if you're looking to get on the ground floor of 10 to 15 employees, we have Catch Digital, Stellar Algo, and a few other startups as well. So I'll post, if you're hiring, feel free to reach out to myself over LinkedIn. I'll also put my email address into the chat box, and then I'll post the website as well for anyone looking for those job opportunities.
Awesome, thanks. That's going to be a great resource. Okay, we're going to try something a little different too that I have never tried and I keep putting off because I don't want things to go wrong, but let's just give it a whirl. You can choose your own breakout room. So watch for the cues on your screen for opening a breakout room and choosing the one you want to go into. Please try not to bounce around too much because we're only going to spend about, 12:40. We need at least 7 minutes. So we're going to come back like somewhere between 10:02 and 5:02. So just know that when you head into these rooms. So have fun, everybody. Can you see the rooms? I hope you're starting to head into them.
You have to hit the breakout rooms button at the bottom.
Yeah, I did. There, people are starting to go in. You're good.
You did, yeah. If you don't see it, just click the 3 dots.
But he's coming back in. I'll just mention again that when you sign the social contract, you get access to our Slack channel. A lot of the people you've heard from today and support services in the chat are in and widely discussed in our Slack channel. You've got Startup Calgary and Platform as great resources here in Calgary. Edmonton, anything you guys want to shout out as far as starting points for folks?
Definitely Startup Edmonton, and the equivalent of Platform is Tech Edmonton, but there's so many meetups that are sponsored across the province, I believe by the Startup Edmonton, Startup Calgary's. That would be a great starting point, as well as the Rainforest, right?
Awesome. Yeah, great starting point here. So we just have a few minutes left. Sorry for all the technical glitches. For those of you new to this type of culture, we love failure. So when we talk about imposter syndrome and stuff, I was just rereading all the chat. It's okay to fail here, and everyone encourages it. So yeah, no need to be scared. And thanks, Joel, for correcting me on the Mike Myers. It was Al Franken. He's so awesome. Okay, I'd forgotten about him. I don't know if he's around still. Anyway, we have other things to do, and those are, first, a quick announcement from our new marketing coordinator, Amber. Uni and Archie, we're going to start your pitches just right after the, and just 2 quick announcements from Amber and Jen from Evolve U. And then if anyone wants to stay on, they can. If people have to run to other meetings, they can. But Amber, go ahead.
I think Peter wants to talk too as well.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I just wanted to say that we are looking for a volunteer to help us create short video and audio clips and snippets for the promotion of the Rainforest podcast. It would be like 20 hours a week. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in collaborating on, please feel free to send me a message. I'll post my email in the group chat, and I'm also on Slack. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amber. I had promised one other announcement to Jen, and if anyone else has one, they can throw it in the chat because we are running out of time. So Jen?
Okay, I'll be super fast. Shout out to the Evolve U learners from cohort 5 that are here, and upcoming cohort 6. I see you, so happy that you joined. I'm putting in an Eventbrite link into the chat. This is for the cohort 5 demo on the morning of February 25th. These projects and learners are incredible. So if you are able to join, we would love to have you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. Okay, Yumi, I'm going to turn it over to you. We run a program called the Libby program, Leaders, Innovators, and Big Ideas, and it gave Calgarians with an idea access to different programs in the startup community. So they've been given the opportunity to give a bit of a report back to where they're at with their idea.
Thanks, Bridget. So I went through the Libby Fund program, and it's for an idea to help professional immigrants that want to pivot into tech careers, just to make sure we're leveraging that talent pool as we build Alberta in the new economy. And through the program, I was able to narrow down what needs to be done and who to reach, who the partners need to be. And at this point, I'm exploring partnerships with some employers that want to have a sustained influx of tech talent as they build their future workforce. So that is going on, and also with academic providers. So I'm exploring, that's going on, trying to explore what partnerships can make this program work. And what I did on the side while that is going on, I figured out what could be done that doesn't require so much input at this time. And that's why I came up with this meetup group called Immigrant Tech is Alberta. And that's a community that just supports professional immigrants that are new and are trying to explore the tech space. You know, it's like trying to bridge the gap between it's like a lesser imposter syndrome, so that before they get to the big group where it's more challenging, they can start with something that's more common to all. Like if it's a group of immigrants, they have similar challenges, so we can explore the challenges at that point and then integrate them to the larger group. And I've had so far a lot of support from the tech community as we have people coming in there to host events. Yeah, so just trying to summarize that quickly. That's where we are. And from the community, we would like to have a lot of support to have, like when we have events, to have people that might want to come in as guests, and also people that want to be mentors to this curious group of people that may need support. So we will need volunteer mentors from the community as well. And just also an additional thing would be tips on running a community, because I'm new to this as well, like just to get the support.
Great,
yeah,
thanks.
and I already have the link in the chat for the meetup group and Reskill Calgary, which was the original idea as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much for sharing. I know Zachary Novak spoke at your event. I watched the video. It was great, similar to the discussion we had today. And I know what people have to step off now, and that's cool. It's after 1. I saw in the chat that people were curious what Product Calgary was. Well, guess what? They will be sharing what they are all about next week, and why founders need product managers, and what that career path looks like. So for anyone who wants to stay on, I'm going to let Archie present, because we have been having such a hard time finding time that works in our calendar. So are you there, Archie? But feel free to jump off if you've got to head to something else.
Yes, I am. Is it all right? Oh, am I able to share screens?
Yeah, I can make you co-host. I'm so sorry this is happening near the end, but if you want to post it in the Slack after too, people can see it there.
That's all right. All right, one moment. Sorry.
That's okay. While you figure that out, I just want to say a big thank you to Kelly, and Kristen for being here today. And hopefully your info's in the chat, or people can catch you on Slack or LinkedIn, etc. Really great conversation, and thanks for joining us. Over to you, Archie.
Over to me. Great. Let's see here. Hi there. My name's Archie Sargent. I'm an LIBI fund recipient, Libby fund recipient, data analyst, and data administrator. I'm currently in the early stages of developing a symptom diary app that harnesses predictive analytics right there on the user's phone. So as the user adds entries to their diary, their symptoms, factors, when these things happened, it builds a data set. Once a trend becomes statistically significant enough, that insight is passed back to the user in a way that's friendly and easy to understand. The user can explore these insights themselves or share them with a specialist. Data never leaves the device and is always under the user's control. The project is currently in the early stages of development, design, and re-ideation. This means there are plenty of opportunities to help shape its potential. The Libby Fund has been a huge resource, helping the project to evolve and recalibrate at this critical point. Libby's education resources helped me to solve some key issues with the original design. For one, the development plan wasn't rapid enough, and it definitely wasn't public-facing. The advice I received during the program has now taken shape as a complete fork of the project. Using an existing symptom diary UX, I've been able to isolate the core problem, how to make predictions from symptom data, from the day-to-day user interface work. This means the core technology can be ready and in testers' hands ASAP. I've also learned some things about my own business style. I've shifted to a more people-focused process. I'm engaging more with my community and making this a team effort. On which subject? In the next few months, I'll be going back to the drawing board to hammer out fine details. Once the core of the project is in place, I'll be going straight into the user's hands. Hopefully, that means a usable version of the software should be available to alpha testers by Q3 2021. If this presentation made an impact on you, please get in contact with me using the email that I'll drop into the chat. At this stage, I'm particularly excited to hear about funding resources or programs, finding testers and prospective users in the medical or medically adjacent fields, and feedback from data and development experts. Lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I am currently seeking work in the field of data admin and analytics. So please drop me a line if you'd like to set up an interview for a position with your firm or organization. Thanks again to everybody involved in the Libby Fund success. and for providing us with this fantastic opportunity and with this 2-minute window, which I managed to stay inside. Thank you very much.